Hello, Joelle. How are you?
Hello, Valentina. I am very good. How are
I'm
you?
glad I'm doing great. Welcome back to She. So, today's episode is a little bit different because we're recording these just a few days after Joelle returned from an ayahuasca retreat. So, we wanted, of course, we told and we wanted to share and she wanted to share her experience. And of course, whether you're curious about plant medicine or skeptical about it or have absolutely no idea what it is, this conversation isn't really about the ayahuasca itself, the plant medicine itself, but it's about healing and what happens during a ceremony and what happened during Joel's ceremony. I, of
Yeah.
course, would recommend it because it truly changed my life. But one more time, we're just sharing these experiences like an honest conversation, and you can achieve those kind of results, like through meditation, absolutely through breath work, nervous system recalibration, coaching, mentorship. There are so many ways. I would say definitely if you're not scared of not being in control, if you're not scared to let go and surrender, that's a completely accelerator. But one more time, it's up to the person. And so, yeah, I guess let's just dive in because I'm curious, even though I know I wanna hear it again.
Well, we have discussed several times that, the healing journey is there's many layers to it. And even though we go through all this stuff and we learn and we are at a place where we become emotionally intelligent, I felt that there are still some blocks in my life. So through whether it's business, whether it's relationships. So I felt really led to go back and sit with the medicine again. The first time I did it was about 18 months ago, and that was my very first experience, and you were also there. And it was a good experience, but I didn't feel that I had maybe integrated or understood what I seen. So this time I decided to go 2 nights. And I know my soul was calling me to go because I had been thinking about it for a few months prior to booking it. And all the way there, tears were rolling, and the ride out there is very peaceful. All you see is cows. There's like nothing, right? It's in the middle
Nothing.
of like Indian reservation. The ride there itself is part of the journey. Well, I went with the intention and I'm getting choked up because it was just such an experience. I went with the intention for God, for ayahuasca, for the plant to show me what I needed to see still. And the first night I went in with no expectations and took the medicine. And it's not what I expected. I went on a journey to hell. I went down into a journey of hell. And my body, you know, the medicine just put me out, like almost felt paralyzed. And my thoughts were very much everywhere. There was no really rhyme or reason, but things were coming up from sexual partners through my life that came in, from the casual relationships I had that came in, from my childhood home where I actually felt something holding me down, from thinking about my children. And then as all these thoughts are coming in, I was resisting. And with the medicine, it's always better to try to surrender. But as we know through life, it's very difficult to surrender. Um, so I'm still a little raw because it was only a few days ago, but I left the temple because I was fighting, and I had to go out and ground and get, to the grass because it kind of helps to ground you. And I seen a demon. And so it was very dark. Like I felt like I was in hell, and I'm looking at this demon, and it was me. The demon was me. I looked like me, but older, but like in an animal almost, like on all fours with red eyes, staring at me. And I remember saying to myself, because your ego's fighting,
All the
you're a good
time.
woman. Your ego's fighting, like it was fighting so hard because I have so much fight in me, but my soul's tired. Through my life and everything I've been through, my heart is wants to just be free, and my soul is tired. Um, so I realized as looking at the demon, it was a huge demon of fear. And I didn't know that night, but it was exactly what's holding me back is fear. Because we sometimes think fear of whatever it is, whether it's fear of love, fear of relationships, fear of failure, fear of success. There's so many things, and it was big, but it wasn't bigger than me. We were standing toe to toe, like it wasn't overshadowing me, but we were equal. And it was almost like, what is going to win here? But I also was like, trying to lay down and surrender, and I was covering my face, and then, my intuition, God, whatever was coming in, showing me I was releasing shame. That was shame. I was covering my face. So I was fighting shame. I was fighting fear. Probably was fighting some of my ego. Um, so that was, there was much more to it. So I purged, that's unpleasant part of
That's part of,
ayahuasca,
yes.
but the purging part of it was almost projectile vomiting. And I mean, it gives you such relief because this purging is from such a deep emotional pain. Um, and there was so much that I was still releasing. So without having to tell every detail, I want to get into the next day because, the beauty of this medicine and the beauty of surrender is that,
Should we
so the next
pause?
day I was,
Should we pause and say that the morning after you text me and you
yes,
shared that I don't know if I can do it.
I did. I texted you and said, I don't know if I could do this tonight. I did not know what I was going to face because it was so dark. It was dark. It was like traveling down to hell, and even outside, and the property, how beautiful it is, right? It looked dark. It looked like, it just looked dark. The trees looked dark. Everything looked so dark, and it was hard. It wasn't what I was expecting that night. So the next morning, and I was weak, my body was weak. The next morning, didn't sleep much. We were up to like 5 in the morning. But I got a couple hours sleep. The next morning I was pretty raw. Um, really wasn't sure I wanted to do it again. Number one, to drink it again, because getting it down is hard enough. And the strangest thing is the first time I took 4 cups, I don't even know how. This time it took 1 cup and that was it. That was it. So I all day long was dreading this experience. I was dreading it. I'm like, but I said, you know what? My soul was saying, you came here to see something. You came here to see something. So we did the ceremony. I went in exhausted because your body's exhausted, emotionally exhausted. Like, I fucking surrender. Like, I don't have a fight in me. So I went into the temple. We started the second night ceremony. And it's funny because the first night ceremony, several people were there. Um, and the second night, some of the same people were there, but
Mhm.
new members came.
Yes.
So even though the first night I felt like I was in hell, the energy in the temple the second night was much heavier, much heavier. But I was so surrendered when I went in. I was praying. I could do all things through God who strengthens me. Come to me praying, please come to me with compassion, come to me with love. And I was doing the breathing. So even though for a minute my ego wanted to take me back that way, I kept surrendering. And then I started to go through healing of generational trauma. I started to see my great grand, this isn't in the same order, but just the highlights of it. I seen my great grandmother. I seen my grandmother. Then I went through my parents and my siblings and the trauma that we carried in that home and where I started my childhood trauma. And it was cleared for me that there was not sexual trauma in my childhood, but the trauma was the trauma of feeling rejected, abandonment, and those type of things that was holding me down. And that's my body literally was paralyzed the night before, feeling something was holding me physically down. Um, Through it, I wound up then going to the next generation of my affair, the pain through my divorce, the pain that my son carries. Um, I was able to see each one of my children born, and I kept surrendering through all this. And this is where God and the plant was going through my body, and you can feel, as you know, energetically, I was having surgery. I can feel in my liver anger being released. I could feel in my sacral area, my sexual center, um, pain being released. I could feel in my kidneys, in my ovary, being released. I could feel it go up into around my area of my sternum and my chest. And when I got to my chest, I started to feel my body feel lighter, and I started to feel myself ascend into heaven and actually see myself being lifted, and watching my heart center turn bright into light, and seeing the light, and the tears that were I was crying were tears of pure peace, tears of pure joy. And I just wanted to stay there. I just wanted to stay there. And through this, though, as I was in the light, I could hear people next to me, the young woman next to me, showing like just sounds of self-loathing, and you can hear another woman in the woods just crying in pain, and people purging. And God said to me, the medicine was saying to me, this is what hell sounds like. And it sounded like hell, but I was hearing hell, but I was being held in the light. And it was showing me how we have heaven and hell inside of us, and we think it's outside of us, and it's not. It's inside of us. And no matter what happens, whether it's our childhood trauma, whether it's addictions, whether it's relationships, regardless of those things that happen to us, the wars within and the healings within, and no matter if the wound wasn't ours, it is still ours to heal, because we are the ones that are fighting against. The war is us against us. It's not against our parents. It's not against our ex-spouses. It's not against um, whatever, whoever. It's truly you against you. And it showed me you are holding you back. Your fears are holding you back. Your fear of love again, or letting somebody in and getting hurt, because heartbreak's the most painful experience, as we all know. Personally, me, I'd rather get ran over by a truck than have heartbreak again, because I've had so much heartbreak through my life. But then it showed me the love and the peace that you feel when you know that you're going to be okay no matter what. That when you're sitting in that peace with God and you are in full surrender, that's truly the only real love you're ever going to really feel, that's to the point of that much fulfillment. And that don't come from anyone else. It comes from surrender. It comes from surrender. It comes from releasing all the things that we've been through. So as we continue to go on this journey and continue to go through and do what we do. We help other people work through this. We're, of course, still working through it. And that was another reason I went. I want to continue to do work on myself. It makes me a better coach. It makes me more aware of my own limitations and what I'm holding back. And, that night I did not purge. I purged a different way. I urinated like so much, and I couldn't understand where it was coming from because that night was the closest, probably near death experience I had. My body was so weak. I had no energy. My body seeing that light knocked me to my knees, like knocked me out. More so than the purging, being in the power of source, of spirit, of God was so powerful. At the same time, the feeling of peace that I received, if I knew I didn't have a purpose and a soul path that I'm here for. And my children and my grandson, I could have closed my eyes and surrendered and just went to heaven because that's the peace that I felt. Um, and that's my new reference point now when I'm struggling is to go to that place. But what I want to say in the biggest part of this experience is hearing, and I was praying so hard, like it was just fluently coming through me for those souls in that temple. The amount of pain, the amount of shame, the amount of anger, fear that we carry into this incarnation is so heavy. It's so heavy, and the greatest gift we can give to our next generation is to heal ourselves, and also know that we can't heal anyone else. We are our own inner healer, and we have to face our demons. Our demons are not things on the outside, they're things we allowed inside. And it was a beautiful experience. One night I spent in hell, and the next night I spent in heaven. And these last 2, 3 days, um, my body's recovering. I'm still emotionally raw. I'm journaling. I know more lessons are going to come from it. I know more direction. And my new thing every morning is, God, Spirit, go before me every day. And I surrender and remind me of that night when I'm trying to take it back because we will. Our ego is stubborn. Our ego is going to try to take it back. We know better, but we don't. And so I say, take it from me every day, whether it's my business. I'm not fighting for that. You know the path, whether it's what's coming in my life and what needs to leave my life, remind me to surrender. Because at the end of the day, feeling that extreme peace and knowing that's my final destination, I already know what's at the end of this. And that's that most utmost feeling of peace and joy. And it was just, I mean, I'm speechless. It was just an amazing experience.
I smile because you're taking me back to that feeling that I always feel when I sit in ceremony, but I also feel when I meditate and I reach certain levels of, I mean, literally surrendering and that deep that you cross the river and then you just feel so connected with God and you're just pure love and pure consciousness. That bliss, that joy, it's not even happiness, like joy that runs through your veins is what fuels me. And so during the ceremony or like meditation also, because when people say, oh no, I can't meditate, I can't sit still, that's how you approach life. People a lot of time when I share my experiences with the plant medicine, they say, oh no, I wouldn't do it because I wouldn't be in control, so I'm scared. That's how you approach life. You want to be in control and you let fears and doubts like literally run your life. When you instead surrender and you stop resisting, because if you resist,
Right.
resist, and we know, because even if we know, we go there and still the ego, the body, like it's just so used to and wired to just like fight and not surrender, even if we know it's not easy. But then on the other side, it's just in a feeling that literally I know what you feel, because we're going back home. And honestly,
Yes.
that's my last night. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy and full of joy and love. Touching God and being one with God is amazing. It's just that's who we are. Like it's just our soul
Yeah.
expands and enlightens. It's just beautiful. And when you learn to drink the medicine, and even one more time, it's a matter of like in life, and you go through darkness, through those moments of challenges, like just so deep down, that's just you. It's your own demons, your own darkness. And that's the beauty.
It's you.
That's where you find your strength. I learned to drink
Yeah.
when I found the strength and power and wisdom in my darkness, even more than the light. And then you appreciate it more.
Right.
And then there's the balance and duality. That's who we are. There's no like,
Yeah.
because like
You know,
there's no shame in it. Actually,
no,
there's empowerment.
there's not. There is. And you know what's beautiful? You know what's beautiful too? You're a warrior when you do this. When people are doing their inner healing, that is the bravest thing you can do. And these people, I have chills from my body because the people you encounter in that situation, we're all strangers, but imagine if you can come to life like this with your spouse, with your family, with your children. I mean, I can get choked up about it because we're laying next to total strangers, purging our brains out at the most vulnerable place with strangers who are all there putting themselves out there, everyone fighting their own demons that nobody knows what somebody's going through, but we're all going through it. But we are not even vulnerable with our relationships. We're not vulnerable. We're free to show who we truly are, but we're with a temple full of 20 different souls in different levels of their healing, vomiting, crying, your raw
Screaming.
as self
Yeah.
with people you don't know, with people you don't know.
But then
Wouldn't it
what
be beautiful
happens?
to come?
And I know, but what happens is that when you reach that
It's
point,
a
you cross,
connection.
we're one. We're just brothers and sisters. We're all one
We are,
in
but
the universe and God expressing itself like in human form. So I don't know that person, but then after the ceremony and during the ceremony, I just hug him like he's my brother or she's my sister. It's just incredible. The amount of love.
it is.
It's
It shows how we are one and how really we don't we're not. You could be with somebody who you're in a relationship or even a mother or father and you feel like you're at like war with that person, but you're not. You're at war with yourself. So, through this I was able to heal and I know I'm a generational curse breaker. I know that. I know I'm chosen to do this. So I was able to see it for 4 generations and, see people from they're carrying their own cross. And some of them are heavier than others, and some of them are going to stay on the cross, and others are going to choose to ascend off that cross. And that's how I looked at it. You're going to stay on the cross being crucified, that you're crucifying yourself. No matter if somebody gave you the wound, you are still re-injuring yourself by reliving it. So when Jesus ascended, when I went up into heaven and I went up, and I'll tell you what happened. This was pretty cool too. As I was going, as I was going into the light, it's like my head popped in and then popped back down. Right? As I was ascending in, it was so powerful, but it's like my ego was trying to pull me back down. But then I kept surrendering and I kept breathing and I watched myself go into the power of that. And it let me ascend right to under my heart, right to not my full body, because then I might have maybe died and stayed there. But it went right to under my heart where then I could see the rays of light just almost peeling my heart open and seeing my heart like brand new flesh, like the pinkest your heart could be. And it took a toll on my body that night for sure. I wasn't sure I was coming out of it for a
Yeah,
little while.
I know the
I really
feeling.
wasn't. I was so weak. I was like, am I coming out of this? Then I finally was like drinking a little apple juice and because you, because I did die. I did die that night. I felt physically I was dying because a part of me was dying. A part of me that I went there to die, to surrender that fear and realize at the end of this incarnation, I'm going to go home. And this is not my home. This is not my home. This is me coming here to live out my human experience. And while I'm here, I want to be kind. I want to not go into life that I'm going to hold back love. I want to experience it. I want to be able to stay vulnerable, even if I get rejected, even if I get hurt, and I will, even if my trauma starts to creep up again, like my attachment style of my anxious attachment, if somebody rejects me and then I feel like, oh, I got to prove myself. I don't have to prove myself because when you realize that everybody comes in your life, every wound comes in your life, every um, illness, whatever it is that comes in your life, it's here to help you to find your way home and to have your soul evolve to the place and to the purpose why you're here.
Yeah.
Um, so I can understand why people go back so many times. Um, I feel like I would go if I was called. I feel like I'm good right now. That was quite the experience, because there's other things that still could be there. You know what I mean?
There's so many layers, but let's also say that ayahuasca is not magic. It's not you go there once, twice, 30 times. Beautiful experience. You go back home and you go back to business as usual. No, ayahuasca gives you homework.
Yeah.
You have to process
You
it.
have to integrate. Yeah.
That's the actual homework. That's when you come back, and of
Yes.
course, if you have support, first of all, if like anyone listening wants to experience, we can definitely share the place we go to. The shamans are incredibly human beings. The volunteers.
Amazing.
They're just
Amazing.
amazing. Because if you don't trust, how can you let go and surrender? And you're so vulnerable there. They're just incredible. But then you go back home and you need to integrate and you need to really.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to be up there, like up in the quantum field, in the universe, wherever you are back home. But then we're still here having this human experience and we still need to live life, and we know it's not that we need to, we get to, and it's beautiful, and we have to, I'm so grateful for it. And but those experiences, even if it's hell sometimes and you die so many times, ego, that's like oof. When you're here in challenges, like it's just okay, actually, like I this is of course for myself. I just get this little reminder. Wait a minute, we're totally fine because let's just remembering what's out there and what's like the connection and the love, and I'm whole and I'm part of the universe and God. So why am I even worrying?
Yeah.
Like just yeah,
And and it is the integration part because the medicine, some people too, you could even take it and something as beautiful as what ayahuasca is still, people can still use that as escapism if they don't do the
absolutely.
integration. And
Very
that's not
good.
what it's for.
Yeah.
It is a method to open your consciousness for you to then face your own demons. If you don't face those demons, sometimes people keep going back and back and back, but if you integrate properly I don't necessarily think you have to consistently do that because then it becomes escapism as well, just like with anything else. It's what you do. The medicine is showing you what you need to see to evolve. Now, the other part of it is you are going to have to integrate and face yourself to evolve.
What are you gonna do with
The
this?
medicine, it's a tool. It's a tool like breath work. It's a tool like, um, journaling. It's a tool. It's facing yourself. So no matter what, the still true transformation is everything you need is within you. And it is about truly surrendering and facing those demons because the demons that we think are all outside of us, they're not. We
No.
brought them in. We brought them in, whether you call it fear, shame, mind, whatever your demon is. It could be anything. Mine, some of my stuff was, healing from sexual trauma, from having casual relationships and being depleted, not in a way where those relationships were feeding and co-creating. They were creating soul ties. They were creating and they were still with me. And as much as the last 2 years of going through celibacy myself, of clearing soul ties and just taking my power back from my own creative energy until somebody is worthy of that in me. Now I hold that sacred, where before I was leaking sexual
Yeah,
energy.
yeah.
And now it's like I seen that, and that last part of integration was still seeing I was carrying a little bit of shame there.
Yeah.
So, a lot of things came out of it that I'm very grateful for. And it wasn't an easy journey this weekend, but it was a beautiful journey.
It's not easy, but it's worth it. And you're so brave. I'm like just so proud of yourself because of you, because and be proud of yourself because
Yeah, I was hoping you were there with a car to pick me up and get me out of there the next day. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
because you're
I'm
doing
out of
the work.
here.
Because so many
Whew.
are just out there complaining of their lives, but they don't do anything to change because they're so scared. Because underneath it all, there's just an identity conditioning. And then if I open that box, I'm gonna ask myself in front of the mirror, oh, so who am I? And that's scary in
Right,
a way. Or it can be just an incredible, beautiful new chapter that you can write because that's an old story
right.
and you can rewrite it. But you have to work and you have to go through it and we can support. We can totally because we've done it so many times.
But explain this too. What the medicine does a reconstruction of your nervous system.
Totally.
It's not just that, it does disrupt your nervous system. It's your neurotransmitters in your brain, the medicine's going through, it's tapping into subconscious memories that you don't remember. It's tapping into stored trauma in your body. So it does take time to a couple days for your nervous system to recalibrate,
And not just
and
that,
it can,
most of the time we can even explain what happened because we use just 5-10% of the brain. Imagine you drink and those 5 hours, if not longer, 100%. Then when you come back,
yeah,
you can't find the words to really express and share and say things that like are out of this world. Like you don't find the words because
right.
they're not in the dictionary and the vocabulary. And then the nervous system
No,
totally because the purging, yes, there's that part, but personally I've done it multiple times and I only purge once in that sense because also crying, also yawning, also shaking the body.
yeah, all of it.
Once my
Shaking.
body was shaking the entire time, 5 hours. And first I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, I'll let you be. I surrendered and the body and literally the nervous system needed like the animals. So what do? They shake it out. Like okay,
That's what happens.
do your thing. I know, do you? Because the body carries so much and
You know,
we have to be
you
gentle.
talk about that shaking. That's
Yeah.
an important part of it too. It really is. And um, this is how I knew I needed to go back to another retreat. When I started my spiritual journey, My body started a couple years ago, the really hard part of it. Especially after my car accident, something with after my car accident, every night my body would have shaking. And I'm like, what is, you think you're losing your mind when you're going through this. And this was not with ayahuasca, just not natural shaking every night. So for well over a year, my body was shaking at night. It was releasing trauma. And then it stopped for a while. And now, right before I went to do ayahuasca, my body was starting to do it again. Like, it feels almost like you're separating your soul from your body. And I know a lot of people aren't going to understand what I'm talking about. I know you do. But the shaking part of it, it's all part of it, removing that trauma out of your body where it's stored
Energy.
in your
The energy stack,
organs.
exactly. It's stored. It's stored. You have to shake it out.
But I was even talking to the shaman and I was like, I feel literally like I just had full body surgery and you can feel the energy, the medicine going in your body, pulling it out.
Yeah.
And so, and you can't make this shit up.
No, you
Then
can't.
the day after, you can't make this shit up. Then the day after, what I told you, but I'm going to say about what happened at the beach.
Oh,
So the
yeah.
day after I got back Sunday from not sleeping, I finally crashed. I didn't sleep at all that night, drove home, then I slept. I was like, got a little miso soup, just trying to nourish my body. I went to the beach. Very good to swim in the ocean ground. It was the day after, you're recovering from the ayahuasca. What did I tell you? You can't make this up. A woman comes up to me. Now, I was on the phone with you. And so I drove past the beach I normally would go to. I drove all the way around and I wound up at Wiggins Pass. I never go there. I go to that beach because I happen to be, oh, I'll just go to Wiggins. I was on the phone, so I was talking to you, so I kept driving. I go to Wiggins Pass. I didn't sit down for more than 5 minutes. I just got there. This woman walks over to me. She goes, do you mind if I sit next to you? And I'm saying to myself, my ego saying, oh, what the frig, man? I just want to sit here and listen to some music and integrate. I just really want to be alone. My soul was like, yeah, sure, you can sit here. I mean, when I tell you she sit right next to me, there was like no personal space. Like I never had this whole beach and you're sitting that close. I sent you a picture that close.
Yeah.
So how funny is it though? Within 2 seconds we start talking. I felt very open and natural to say, "Oh yeah, I'm just chilling out. I went to an ayahuasca retreat." I had no problem saying that. For some reason, my soul led me. She goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "I'm here on a retreat. I've done ayahuasca. I'm here for a Magdalene, like a Mary Magdalene code
Hmm.
retreat. I'm a healer. I do Reiki in Colorado. Now, what's the chances of right
Ah, of
after my
course.
ayahuasca retreat for a woman who understands this to sit literally right next to me?
And this is the
It was,
perfect example to share with people, regardless the ayahuasca, that when you clear blocks, that's how the opportunity, demand, the job come to you because you attract it. Like you attract
yeah.
everything that you, yeah.
Out of anybody in that could have came to the beach, within 5 minutes of sitting down, and then I put my music on. Well, she went into the thing. I put my music on, and I'm listening to like healing music, and the song is a shaman song about thanking ayahuasca. That's the first song that comes on,
Boom.
and that's what I texted you. I'm like, you can't make this shit
No,
up.
you
Like
can't.
you can't make this up. Um, but I do feel now integrating after 2 or 3 days, like, you know what? God knows my path. It's for my highest good, no matter what it is. Um, be gentle with yourself.
Always.
Understand that we are, one thing I want to just jump back to is that I had a hard time before I knew what the next night was going to be when I was in hell. I had a really hard time the next day thinking, God, it hurt my heart to think you're fucking demonic. This is what I'm thinking. You're sitting here and you're seeing yourself as a demon. Maybe you're not as good as you thought. Maybe you're not a good person. This is
Mhm.
the thoughts going on in my
Yeah,
head
yeah.
because through that I kept saying, Joelle, you're a good woman. You're a good mother. But it hurt me to see me that way. It
Yeah.
hurt me. And a man there who was from Miami, he was cracking me up his energy. He's like, well, it's just because it's just part of your darkness. It's just part of who we are.
Yes,
It's just who you
exactly.
are.
It's
It's
just,
just part of who you
I
are.
feel
It's just
you.
accepting it.
I feel you because sometimes like, oh my God, I'm
I'm
not
like,
that. Am I that?
oh,
Yes, and that's okay. That's how we be
yeah.
people. You accept that side too because that's your dark side. You're ashamed
That
of
was hard.
it. Yeah, it
That
is.
was hard. It was
Because
hard
we
seeing me
want to
that
be
way.
perfect, but there's no perfect. That's actually
No,
accepting your darkness is the most perfect thing.
it is. And it's part of your shadow work. And then, the moral of all this and us talking about this is that, you know, we're never going to be perfect. We're
Never.
never going to be perfect. But if you can come and face that and say, hey, you know, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to do the best I can to live a life of love, light, integrity, honesty. But I'm also understanding that sometimes those things, when you think, oh, I'm not going to say something because I don't want to rock the boat, that's your shadow because that's your dark side. Holding back who you are. That's that trauma you're holding back to people please, or to let that sometimes you got to understand some of those things are not those. Some of those things are your ego. So let the shadow rise because that shadow is part of who you are, and it's just accepting it that yes, I did go there with intention to see my blocks. Um, and I'm doing the best I can not to continue to block them and let your ego come back in and just face it every day, faith over fear. And it's so funny because I've been saying that for the last 2 month, 3 months since I, took a leave, and I've been saying faith over fear. And it was fear that it was shown to me. So for anybody out there who wants to really start to face their demons, and not sure how, it just takes getting someone to support you, being honest with yourself, because that's the most beautiful part. And some of these retreats, like I said, you're sitting next to people you've never seen before in your life, and you are your most vulnerable, and it feels so beautiful to sit there. People are hugging each other,
Yes.
showing nothing but love and support, and you don't even get that sometimes with your spouse or a family member. You don't. And it's like, if we could come forth with that, listen, this is who I am. I'm not perfect. I'm having these issues, but just be your true authentic
Yeah.
self, or find out who that even is.
And you're not alone, and you don't have to do it
No,
alone. No.
no, you don't. You don't have to do it alone. You have support, but you are the only one that's
Exactly.
truly your inner
Exactly.
healer.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, you are the one. You get support, and it's good to have support. I mean, we're coaches and we have coaches,
We're guiding, we're
I've had
showing,
coach.
we're not healing. We're healing ourselves, but we're not healing other people. Yeah, we're
No, we're
supporting.
house
Yeah,
guiding and supporting, and
exactly.
from what we've been through, using those wounds for wisdom. And that
Yeah.
is the whole point of being light and helping and sharing. Because I see so many people, and it's so evident of how many people are just trying to hide themselves under everything, drugs, alcohol, sometimes even just staying too busy, just being too
Oh,
busy so
yes.
you can't
Yeah.
face yourself, under constant doing things for the outside. Well, the real surgery starts inward.
Yeah.
And then after that, your inner beauty does. Honestly, they said to me, I thought I looked like death. Like, I thought I looked like, I mean, I must look like, they're like, you're
You're
glowing. You're
glowing, right? That's the
glowing.
word. That's the one. Yeah.
They were like, you were absolute. I thought I looked gray and
Yeah.
like, a haggard old witch, like from demonic. And they're like, you are absolutely, the girl said, the way your hair was laying and your skin, you looked so beautiful. And here I am holding on to like life, I feel. I'm
Yeah.
holding on to like my last breath. And but no, you release all that. And
Yeah.
even Inti said, your whole face looks different.
Yeah. Inti. We love you, Inti. Yeah.
Yeah,
This was, I mean, of course, I could talk for hour. We could talk for hours. But as always, we're gonna share how you can reach out to Joelle, to myself, and if you ever want to experience and and go attend an ayahuasca retreat, reach out to us, and we're gonna share the information. And thank you so
absolutely.
much for listening. We love you all. And Joelle, of course, I love you, my soul sister. And I'll talk to you next week.
Yes, absolutely. This drops Friday.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.